What's going on, everyone? Seth here, Disc Golf Strong. So I'm going to show you a movement today that is both an assessment and it's also an exercise. So you get to see how this movement is affecting your body, or how your body responds to this movement, and also use it as a way to get better. So we're going to be looking at stability of your hip joint. Stability is so important, both as a human and as an athlete. Okay, the only way I'm not collapsing when I'm standing up is because my muscles are engaging to stabilize my joints and keep me upright. So now we go into the sport of disc golf, and now we're being very dynamic. We're putting a lot of power, a lot of force into our body, into our joints. So our joints need to be stable enough to handle those loads and keep the muscles need to engage to keep those joints from collapsing, really. So the more stable you get, the better you're going to be able to perform. If you lack stability in a joint, okay, let's just say your hip joint, your brain can actually pull you back. It can keep you from tapping into the potential that you have, because the brain's number one priority is to keep you safe and healthy and not to throw a disc as far as you can. And so if it lacks stability, then the brain go, no, I'm gonna lock you up a little bit, or whatever it's gonna do for each individual person to pull you back. So the more stable we are, the better we can perform and the less chance of injury. We're looking at hip stability because we are performing on a single leg in a staggered stance or an offset stance in most of disc golf movements. Okay, we very rarely are except for really straddle putt, are we bilateral. So both feet are on the ground and we feel really stable there. Okay, we're always staggered stance, single leg, or an offset stance. So if I am not stable in this hip and I go to plant and rotate, and this hip wants to jut out there, okay, as I'm doing that, that's not going to be healthy for my hip, and it's also not going to be it's not going to help my performance. So this is called the half kneeling front leg liftoff. We do this in the Disc Golf Strong programs, and the Performance Academy is one of the key exercises and assessments that we do for our hip. So all I'm going to do is get into what we call a half kneeling position here. I'm going to get nice and tall. So one knee is on the ground, 90-degree angle at this knee and 90-degree angle here. And I'm nice and tall and upright. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not bending back or to the side. And all I'm going to think about doing is that toes pulled back as well, unless you got something going on with your foot and you need to do that, okay? All I'm going to think about doing is lifting this front foot just slightly off the ground and holding it as long as I can. Okay? So my front foot is off the ground and I was able to stabilize this hip joint. Now, the reason I'm doing it in half kneeling and not standing is when I'm standing, or when you're standing, we also can use these big prime mover muscles of the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, to help stabilize our hip. When we are in a stance like this, a half kneeling stance, it takes these prime mover muscles out of the equation for the most part, and really forces the movement to happen, the stability to happen from the small little stabilizing muscles around our hip joint. Okay, so we're going to get a better idea of what those small muscles can do. So again, nice and tall. Okay, and lift. And I'm just checking my stability here. Now look, now there I lost my stability at the end, so that I was holding it for too long. But let's say I lift and I hold and I do this and I'm able to come back. That's okay. Stability does not mean no movement at all, okay? It means that you are able to get that joint and even move that joint through a range of motion where you're not losing stability. So me moving, I'm still able to stay stable through that joint. Okay? And then I would switch and I would try it the other side. So I want you to go ahead and try that. If you got any knee pain, this may not be the movement for you to do in a half kneeling position, but you can put a pad underneath your knee as well, if that can help. Switch sides. See if you can do it for 3 to 5 second hold each side. If not, this is going to be a perfect exercise for you to do often to just get stability in that hip. Try it out. I hope that helps. As always, train Disc Golf Strong.